The people rise up and solve the great challenges of our time. We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
All right, welcome everyone to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us. We're here live on WYSL till 1 o'clock. So, if you want to participate in the conversation, give us a call, 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. Appreciate you all being here. Of course, shout out down the line to our friends over at WACK out in Newark and WENY, the Patriot, down in the Southern Tier, and my friends listening online on the Kevin Wilson Facebook page, A Free Solution Facebook page, Free Solution YouTube, and on Twitter as well. Every once in a while, we get someone on Twitter. Not as much as Facebook, though. All right, so everyone's talking about impeachment. I was going to avoid talking about impeachment for a while, just like I did last time. I feel like everyone's covering it. But I do feel like I can offer a little bit of a different take. I'm not partisan, right? I don't feel like the Democrats do, who want to impeach Trump for a million different things, some of which were the exact same things that Barack Obama did, that Democratic presidents have done in the past. You know, it's hard to take a lot of Democratic concerns seriously because everything feels partisan. I'm not a Republican either. I don't feel the need to defend Trump no matter what. So I don't care, you know, to put my reputation on the line to defend him. So I'm trying to look at this as neutrally as possible, and I'm trying to think, okay, does this make sense? So I asked the question in the show is, you know, is the impeachment constitutional? And does it make sense to impeach Trump? Well, he's already been impeached. Does it make sense to move forward with a conviction at this point? Does it make sense to move forward with a trial? And again, for anyone living in a hole, President Donald Trump was impeached about a week before he left office. He was impeached over his involvement in inciting the Capitol riots. Now, when I say inciting, I don't mean it in the legal sense. I don't mean like he could be convicted of a criminal charge for inciting a riot at the Capitol. He gave a speech. He gave a speech in which members of Congress felt he was trying to drive people to the Capitol building to overturn the results of the election by repeating accusations that the election was stolen and telling people to do something about it. And then the other part of that was to Donald Trump's attempt to, in their accusation, overturn the results of the Georgia election by putting pressure on the Secretary of State there. We've talked about that in a previous show before. And so that was put in there. And I could put in the whole article of impeachment for those listening online. You can go and look that up. So the House impeached him. And the problem with this, again, is, well, Donald Trump's leaving office. There wasn't time to do a trial. Well, they probably could have done a trial if they really wanted to. But the Senate didn't take up a trial to move ahead with impeachment. So you got now a former president standing trial in the Senate. So there's no way to remove him from office because he's already been removed from office by this point. All you can do is bar him from future office. That is a potential punishment of impeachment. So this constitutionality question ended up coming up, and it kind of got settled in the Senate within the last 24 hours, where the Senate moved ahead with saying that the trial was legal. It is a little bit odd because the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court isn't sitting in the trial, which the Constitution says that the Chief Justice is supposed to, but it's only supposed to for current officials. So yeah, that gets a little bit weird that he's not overseeing that trial. But nonetheless, 6 Republicans did join the Democrats to say that it was constitutional. The Trump lawyers did not make a very good case that it wasn't constitutional. But I want to address that question, though, because it's something I think is important. And here's why I kind of land on the side of this is a good thing, right? Regardless of the merits of the individual case, I'm not going to get into that quite yet, but regardless of the merits of the individual case, should you be able to impeach a president who has already lost an election is already on the way out? Does it make sense to do that? And I think the answer is yes, actually. I think the answer is yes because I would want to see the same thing happen if Barack Obama had committed crimes the last week in office, if he'd used his office inappropriately to harm this country in a serious way. Well, of course, you should be able to take some sort of additional action. Presidents are in a weird position because oftentimes they can't face criminal prosecution for stuff that they do in office. They don't quite have immunity, but it gets a bit funny. Like this is a discussion that we were having way back when the first impeachment was happening. It was their obstruction of justice. Was Donald Trump obstructing justice, blocking the investigation from happening? When all the Mueller report came out, was he obstructing justice? Did he commit a crime? And could the Department of Justice move ahead with bringing charges against him if they wanted to? We had the same discussion with President Clinton, too. And the position that a lot of our federal government has come to is essentially no, that they're not going to move ahead with charges with when a president commits a crime. That the remedy for punishing a president for committing a crime in office is impeachment. And impeachment is, of course, a political remedy, not a legal remedy, so you don't even need to have committed a crime to do impeachment. So here's where I'm getting at. On the matter of whether or not a trial should move forward with a former president, if a president was accused of committing a crime, I would say, yeah, absolutely. We should be able to do that. Again, I want the same thing to happen. If Joe Biden commits a whole bunch of crimes in office and we figure them out in January 2025 after he's lost the election, yeah, no, like we should still impeach him anyway. If he's continuing to do stuff in January, that's illegal, that's unconstitutional. If he is committing us to a new war, for instance, in an unconstitutional manner during the lame duck session, of course, we should impeach President Joe Biden if he were to do that. And I'm sure that there will be at least one unconstitutional war in these 4 years if history repeats itself. So yes, if a president is continuing to commit a crime, if a president violates the law or violates the Constitution or just uses their office in an inappropriate way, sure, let's impeach him. Particularly if you have a one-term president who could, in theory, run again, there should be consequences for abusing your power. Again, I'm not saying anything specific about Trump's case. I'm talking about should the Senate, was it a good move for the Senate to move ahead with doing this trial? And I've got some feedback. I posted about this earlier, and some people are like, oh, we're so sick of this stuff. No one wants to see this. Well, technically, a majority of Americans want to see it. Now, it's a majority along partisan lines. 56% of Americans in a recent CBS poll said that they support convicting President Trump for what he did, his role in trying to interfere with the election process, according to articles of impeachment, and inciting the Capitol riots. So 56 to 44. Again, mostly that falls along party lines, but a majority does support that. And yeah, I mean, and it doesn't matter too. Like I don't really care about the polls. I care about what's right. Is this right? Is this wrong? Should we be moving ahead with this? Doesn't matter. And I think it does matter. I think that being able to impeach a president even after he or she has left office is incredibly important. If they've done something to betray their office. I'm, again, not getting into what I'll get into it. I promise in the next segment, I'll get into the substance of this. But I want to spend this segment saying, yeah, I support that. We should do that. In fact, with the slippery slope argument, oh my goodness, we're going to impeach so many presidents now. Good. We should be impeaching more of them. Obama should have been impeached. Bush probably should have been impeached. We should be doing this more often. I think that is a perfectly legitimate way of holding presidents accountable. Other countries hold their executives accountable far more frequently than we do in the United States. I'm happy to see the erosion of the imperial presidency. I think that we need to look at them as they are just human. They are men. They have flaws. And if they do something wrong, if they betray our trust, then they need to be held accountable. And I'll read a comment from Will Phillips says, I can't back this up. However, I think there's a large portion of what any modern U.S. president does each day is illegal and unconstitutional. I think that is how our system has evolved. Yeah, I think our founding fathers would be shocked at what presidents can get away with nowadays. It's ridiculous. If we actually held presidents to a constitutional standard, we'd be impeaching a lot more of them. That's where I stand on this. All right, so we'll go to break now, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the substance of this and some other criminal charges being brought against President Trump, too. We'll be back in just a few minutes here on A Free Solution.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
When you've been seriously injured in a car crash, you need a lawyer who knows how to beat the big insurance companies. Call me and I'll take them on so you can focus on your health and family.
Car crash, call Salino. Salino, call Salino. 888-2020.
Main Street, Rochester. A message from the National Police Association. It used to be that any able-bodied person would offer to assist a police officer in danger. Now, passers-by are more likely to take a video. There's a better use for your phone when an officer's in trouble. Call 911. Tell the operator where you are and what you see. Then, start your video to provide evidence later. To learn more about how you can assist law enforcement, visit nationalpolice.org. That's nationalpolice.org.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A free solution.
Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us. We are live until 1 p.m. So if you want to give us a call, participate in this conversation, let us know what you think. 585-346-3000. Did the Republicans who voted with the Democrats to move ahead with the trial make a mistake in assessing the constitutionality of this trial? Am I wrong to think that we should impeach a president and move ahead with a trial even after he's out of office? Give me a call, 585-346-3000. We'll talk a little bit about the substance of this and some of the other stuff going on as well. And got another comment from Will Phillips saying, I don't think it's likely, but I continue to hope that Trump will fulfill his original campaign promise of draining the swamp. He needs to name names and drag down and hold both sides accountable. Will, that would be nice. The time to do that would have been while he was still in office. I'm not going to hold my breath for that. I agree. I don't think it's likely. I wish President Trump did a lot more to shake up the system in a way that would benefit more Americans. I think he certainly did a lot to shake up the system, but a lot of that was geared towards building loyalty to him, and I don't appreciate that. I don't have to like that as someone who's outside the party. And again, we are looking at what the Republican Party is doing. We're seeing state and local Republican parties censure their members of Congress, members of the Senate, and other party officials for saying that they disagree with President Trump on stuff. I don't think that's healthy. I think if we're going to have good discourse, if we're going to have good disagreements and discussions, it would be nice to see that happening within the party too. And again, I don't consider myself Republican anymore. I have many conservative friends. I have a lot of conservative values, but I don't really consider myself Republican. I'm not loyal to the party anymore because I don't want to be loyal to Trump. I'm going to say when he does something good, I said it during his time in office, and when he did bad stuff, I would say that too. And I think you need that if you're going to have a functioning republic. You need to be able to bring truth to power. You need to be able to call out your leaders when they are wrong occasionally. And, the Republican Party is still saying that 46% of them are saying it's very important to continue to be loyal to President Trump, even after he lost the election. And up to 70% of people said they would consider joining a new party if President Trump founded one, which is interesting. Again, this is a CBS YouGov poll, so take it for what it is. But I did find that interesting that people are choosing loyalty to former President Trump over the Republican Party, and I think some of the values that the Republican Party used to hold. So we're going to see what happens with that. I think you're going to have a rough time if that happens. I'll get one more comment from Will. The impeachment is once again a kangaroo court. Jury's made up of people who are running against him and antagonizing him. There is no hope for impartiality. It is the trial is going to be kind of a joke, right? I mean, it's a serious topic, right? It's a serious allegation, but we all know how it's going to turn out. That's not a mystery. That's not a surprise. Donald Trump is not getting convicted. Almost 0% chance that he is getting convicted. I don't think it's going to happen. The Democrats wanted to do this. I'm sure a few of the Democrats, a couple of the Republicans who may vote to convict, a few of them are doing this in good faith, and they're going to say that they're doing this because President Trump abused his power and tried to overturn the legitimate results of an election, both through inciting mob violence and pressuring Georgia election officials to find 11,000 votes. I think there's some people who are probably acting in good faith. Now, the political operatives in the Democratic Party, let's be realistic about this. What they want to do is they want to put Republican senators in a position to vote up or down on this, to vote to convict or to acquit on President Trump, and they want to continue making President Trump an issue for the next 4 years. And again, the Republican Party is kind of doing this to themselves, right? They make President Trump an issue instead of focusing on policy values that actually impact the average American, about opening up our businesses, about making sure that life can get back to some semblance of normal in the next few months. Instead of pressuring the Democrats on those issues, everything becomes about President Trump, and I don't think that's healthy. Again, regardless of whatever you think of Trump, I don't think it's healthy to focus on that stuff, and I'm worried that the Democrats will have less and less of a check on their power as average folks say, well, why is the Republican Party still talking about Donald Trump? He's not in office anymore. Who cares? And the Democrats are going to keep doing the same thing. And most of us, myself included, are going to feel, and as we have for the last several years, well, goodness, there are other issues, there are other problems that need to be solved outside of what you think of Donald Trump. It's not all about him. It's about being able to run our businesses. It's about being able to run our lives. It's about having the freedom to be able to live the life that we want to trade with who we want to move where we want to run our lives. That's all most people want. They want to be left alone. They want to make sure they have enough money to eat. They want to have some semblance of security. That's what most people are looking for. I would hope that the Republican Party, and many Republicans are working hard on these issues too, just like Democrats are. I think there's a lot of folks acting in good faith. It's hard to lose. It's easy to lose that in all of the noise of the national talking heads and all the stuff that goes on, and that stuff's important too. There are good, hardworking people who are trying to actually focus on the issues. This trial, it's not going to do that. This is to get Republicans on the record, yay or nay on President Trump, and if they vote yes to convict, Democrats are going to hammer him. Or Democrats will probably do nothing. They're going to do nothing to help them. The Republican Party is going to hammer them. They're going to get eaten alive. They're going to get primaried. So what's going to happen? Regardless of whether or not they have a good reason, they actually believe that President Trump was guilty or not. And if they vote no, then that's when Democrats are going to hammer him. They're going to say, look, we present all this evidence. We showed you these videos of these rioters. We showed you recordings of the phone call President Trump had with the Georgia Secretary of State and his lawyer, and you guys still wouldn't hold true to your principles, and they're going to fundraise and fundraise and fundraise off of that. This is the trial, I think, is a little bit motivated by cynicism. I think this is a political strategy. Not that I don't think it's worth doing. I tend to agree with, I think there's something there. I think there's worth moving forward with. I think there's something there. I don't like that, and we've done shows about this before. You can listen to my full show about this. I don't like that President Trump did play a role in encouraging people to use violence. I don't like what happened at the Capitol. I think that's an ugly thing. I know we saw lots of that over the last few years, but I think it's an ugly thing. And those folks, the folks who went through and smashed the windows and took stuff and looted and did their thing in the Capitol building, they're going to be held accountable. Those folks are going to go to jail for, whereas President Trump, who encouraged them to do that stuff, maybe implied that that was the right thing to do. He's probably not going to be held accountable. Did he incite the riot legally? No, probably not. But he did have a role in that. And I don't know that there's any desire among Republicans to move on from that, to just say, well, that was a mistake and that we should try something else. All right, sounds like we do have a call on the line, though. Bob from Rochester. Bob, what's on your mind?
I think there's a bigger problem here. And the bigger problem is we have the Constitution, and the Constitution has words in it, and the words are supposed to mean something. And so when we look at this situation, it's supposed to be that the Chief Justice presides over this trial, and they're not having a Chief Justice preside over it. And the Constitution says, just like they brought up, the Constitution says that that's the way it's supposed to be. And if we don't use the Constitution the way it's written, if we don't follow it, then that just opens up the floodgates. Like the Second Amendment says, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, and they have infringed it. And we have, there's all these other amendments that they're not following, and we've got the secret court that you don't have any. You can't present your case. It's a secret court. You don't even know they're investigating you. This is the big problem.
Yeah, I mean, Bob, I agree with you. We should follow the Constitution. And I agree that it is strange that the Chief Justice isn't presiding over this trial. I don't get that move. I think that should be moved ahead, but you're absolutely right. And what I want to focus on is the violations of the Second Amendment. Shall not be infringed. You're absolutely right. Our violations of our Fourth Amendment, violations of our First Amendment, they're everywhere. Congress runs roughshod over those, and so does the president. And when the president does that, regardless of party, we need to hold him accountable. Thank you so much for the call, Bob. I really appreciate it. Guys, we're going to be back here on A Free Solution in a few minutes. If you want to participate in the discussion, give us a call, 585-346-3000. 585-346-3000. Talk to you soon.
muzzled. AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. We'll be looking at mostly cloudy skies. Could be a few flurries out there. Temps in the teens on your Thursday. Maybe a few lake flakes in the morning, bringing a coating to an inch or so for some of us. A couple of inches closer to the lakeshore. A cold day. Temperatures will drop into the teens during the afternoon. Kind of a gusty breeze. Cold on Friday with some snow showers in the teens. I'm Rich Cornelia, WYSL.
Because your future is worth it. MGM Associates Insurance. Proudly serving the region since 1984, MGM can meet your coverage needs, ranging from home, condo, and auto, all the way to specialized policies for business, workers' comp, to limo and taxi insurance, and coverage for tech professionals like IT specialists. They can also help lead you through the confusing maze in the new world of health insurance coverage and options. MGM Associates is large enough to serve you, but small enough to care, so you don't have to wait in line on some 800 number to get prompt personal attention. MGM Associates is the only winner of the National Best Practices Award 5 times in a row. MGM is proud to support veterans groups, including Heroes Home Advantage. For your personal, business, home, or professional insurance needs, put the experience of MGM Associates Insurance on your team. Locally and proudly owned at 1745 Penfield Road in Penfield. 381-7008 or mgminsure.com. An associate of Finger Lakes Fire and Casualty, Route 227 in Trumansburg, New York.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Do you, like many business owners, feel your business is your other child? You started it, worried when things weren't well, watched it grow, proud of its successes, and now the business is running well. So you start to think, how am I going to transfer this business and make sure I get the most value for it? Who am I going to sell it to? Family, key employees, favorite competitors? What's my business worth? What kind of payment terms am I going to get? What are the tax implications and business agreements I need? What's going to be the impact for me and my family? I'm Alan Ginsberg of the A.M. Ginsberg Advisory Group. We work with many business owners regarding business continuation plans. We'll be glad to sit down and discuss your situation and look at the options that you may have available. Call my office at 585-377-4720. If you start to think about it, don't wait till the last minute.
Securities offered through Securities America, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Securities America Advisors, Inc., A.M. Ginsberg Advisory Group, and Securities America Companies are separate entities.
Your lips, your smirk, your grin, the way you look in the mirror at me, how you cheer at the game, how you sigh in the rain, the way you sign your name. Like the sun and the moon, when you smile, you light up my face. The who was always you, I see you, my Valentine.
Show World.
An experienced professional with more than 15 years in dentistry, Dr. David Olivo welcomes new patients to his family practice at 2005 Lyle Avenue. At the office of Dr. Olivo, you'll discover a warm and comforting environment staffed by professionals who are committed to providing the best available dental care while assuring your complete comfort. Call 328-3382 for an appointment. Dr. David Olivo, offering quality dentistry with a gentle touch.
Remember Scotty's Detail Auto Body for all of your body paint and collision repairs. And also remember, it's still the collision shop of your choice during that unfortunate time. Scotty's Detail Auto Body, Route 15 East Avon, just a quarter mile north of I-390, exit 9.
Avon Gun and Hunting Supply, a locally owned and operated gun shop specializing in pre-owned firearms and repairs. Get your rifle, shotgun, or pistol serviced and tuned before you take it to the field. Open Tuesday through Saturday. Avon Gun and Hunting Supply, East Main Street, next to the Bank of Castile.
A free solution.
Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, we're live here until 1 o'clock, so if you want to participate in the discussion like Bob did in the last segment, give us a call, 585-346-3000. And shout out down the line to our friends over at WACK out in Newark and WENY, the Patriot down in the Southern Tier. Appreciate you being here. And our friends listening online, too, on the Free Solution Facebook page, the Kevin Wilson Facebook page, the YouTube channel, wherever you're listening. Thank you for being here. And the podcast, too. Remember, you can subscribe to our podcast if you miss part of this episode or you miss a whole episode. My shows are on there. Larry's shows are on there. We have every show going back to the Radio Free New York days. We have those on there as well. So thanks again for being here on A Free Solution. Let me get to some of your comments from Michael Shannon Wilson saying, political strategy, kill the middle class and import 11 million Democratic voters illegally, make it so that Trump can't hold any office. That's a strategy. I mean, maybe. I mean, definitely the Trump part, too. The goal is to make it so he can't hold office. That's what the goal of the impeachment is, right? That's the punishment. Now, one could argue that, well, maybe the best way to make sure Trump can't hold office again is to just let the people decide that. That's fair. I get that. I don't know about the importing Democratic voters illegally. They really. I haven't seen any concrete evidence that people who are here illegally are voting. It's not really a substantial amount of evidence for that. Killing the middle class, polarizing people. Frankly, the Democrats and Republicans are both doing a good job of that. And I do think it polarizes people. I do think it makes people desperate. I think it pushes people to the margins. I think that's fair, particularly now in the last year. But that's bipartisan. That is Republicans and Democrats doing that, and is both incompetence and craven political strategy. And I don't know that's like super intentional, but I get that argument. I get that many people are suffering right now, and that pushes people to radicalism. Brian asks, can we trust the courts to uphold the Constitution after they invented qualified immunity, which clearly violates the First Amendment guarantee of the people's right to petition the government for redress? Well, qualified immunity, we do a whole show on that. Again, the doctrine of qualified immunity was a court-invented doctrine that says that if you are an official acting in the capacity of the government, you have a certain level of protection from civil liability because you're doing something on behalf of the government. That's the really broad version of that. It came into question a lot in this last year because of police officers, where it's pretty difficult to sue them unless you have a very, very specific case pointing out that someone's right was violated, their constitutional rights were violated by a police officer, and there had to be a precedent for that. So, yeah, to answer your question in a short way, no, I don't think we can trust the courts to uphold the Constitution. Like, look how many unconstitutional things have gotten through our government in the last several decades. No, we can't trust the courts to do that. We have to find different ways to organize and to get political leaders to actually care about the Constitution. We can't count on the courts to save us. Every once in a while, they do, but just as often as they do, they completely ignore our constitutional rights, particularly in areas like the Second Amendment, and we see that a lot in New York State, Fourth Amendment rights, with the violations that we've seen from the NSA and even local police departments too, in terms of violating our rights to privacy. No, a ton of that, and a lot of courts, including the Supreme Court, defer to federal agencies too, and just trust them that the rules that they're making are legal and constitutional. Most of them. Except maybe Neil Gorsuch. He seems pretty good. And Nicholas says, Chief Justice Roberts was wise not to involve himself in this sham trial in the Congress of a private citizen. A trial belongs in court with a judge and jury of his peers, not in front of a legislature on a bill of attainder. Okay, fair enough. That's kind of his, Chief Roberts' reason for not doing that is basically the Chief Justice is only supposed to sit and preside over a trial when it's a sitting president. And yeah, it is in a sense a private citizen. But as I said in the first segment, I kind of think if a president commits a crime on their way out, it could be a president, it could be a secretary, it could be one of the cabinet members as well. If someone commits a crime on their way out, violates the Constitution, breaks the law, whatever, there should be a mechanism for holding that person accountable. That's not necessarily a criminal remedy, which Trump is, he might get that too. And Brian says, of course, SCOTUS gave themselves the power to be the final arbiter of all things constitutional. The power is not given to them by the Constitution. No, it's Marbury versus Madison. They gave themselves the power, in a sense, to determine whether or not laws passed by Congress and actions by the executive were constitutional. They said judicial review was a power that they had. So not in the Constitution, just kind of precedent from Marbury versus Madison. Brian says, the only punishment per the Constitution is removal from office. It says nothing about barring from holding office. No, they can bar from holding office. So that's legal, legit. That's a way impeachment can move forward. So I don't think anyone's really arguing that. So you can do that. I think that the main argument against holding the trial is more that President Trump is now a private citizen, and the removal and barring from office only applies to current office holders. Which, again, I stand on the other side of that. I know I'm getting a lot of disagreement from you guys, but it's all right. I love the good discussion. I love the good points. I think there should be a way to impeach presidents and former office holders everywhere. And I want to see more of it. Can we impeach President Obama for future things? Well, he can't run for office again anyway. It's fine. But I would be fine with that, honestly. I think we should impeach more presidents, because presidents get away with so much unconstitutional nonsense that we never bother holding them accountable for. It would be great to start doing that. I'd rather err a little bit on the other side of things. But it's not going to happen, because, again, with this trial, there's never going to be a conviction. It's always going to fall along partisan lines. I'm not surprised by it. That's just what's going to happen. We're going to see an acquittal because Republicans do not want to get the wrath of their base by voting to convict former President Trump. Maybe they shouldn't. I mean, maybe that's how people feel. They should be responsive to their constituents, and if they aren't, then they're going to get primaried and they're going to lose. I don't know that it's a healthy thing for the Republican Party. I said that in the last segment, but I think that the Republican Party, if it doesn't want to keep losing the middle, the average voters who don't really care all that much about politics, but care whether or not their factories open, their restaurants open, whether their family can get food on the table, whether their kids are able to go to school. You want to keep those folks, don't care about President Trump that much, other than they hope that they're able to keep their job. You're going to start losing those folks if you keep talking about that too much. And, actually, someone pointed out correctly, Barack Obama can hold office again, just not the presidency. You're right. Yeah, I did think of that a little after I said that, but Brian, thank you for saying that. Yeah, former President Obama could hold office again. I'd be fine with barring him from future offices. I would not like to see. President Obama killed American citizens. President Obama expanded the spying program. President Obama built the cages that everyone talked about in the immigration detention centers. He was the one who built those cages for children whose families were torn apart by coming here and interacting with our immigration system. Yeah, I mean, if we want to talk about the bad stuff that President Trump did, or the stuff progressives point out that President Trump did, President Obama did it, and he got praised for it. The media was so busy fawning over him, they couldn't even pay attention to the fact that he was committing unconstitutional acts left and right. Half the time they're cheering him on when he brought out his pen and his phone. It's pathetic. And they're doing the same thing to Biden, too. They're just whitewashing over all the ridiculous unconstitutional nonsense that he does. And yeah, I'm not, again, everything's gonna switch now. I'm gonna start talking about how terrible President Biden is because, well, he is. He's already doing unconstitutional stuff. And the Democrats in Congress, far from wanting him to rein in that power, want him to use his executive authority even more aggressively. We are in danger of losing our republic if we keep going in that direction. It's inconsistent. It's a danger to liberty. It's a danger to the Constitution. We need to pick a new path. I'm hoping education is going to help with that. But at the end of the day, all y'all listening, you got to make sure that you're holding your elected officials accountable, talking about the Constitution. And if our elected officials and other leaders aren't responding to protecting freedom, to protecting liberty, to protecting the Constitution, well, we need to start getting together and electing someone who will. All right. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We're going to be back in just a few minutes. I'll talk a little bit about what's happening in Georgia as well. And yeah, we'll wrap up the show. But if you want to participate in this conversation, give us a call, 585-346-3000. 585-346-3000. We'll be back in a few minutes here on A Free Solution.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Hi, my name is Ryan Bourne.
And I'm Danica Bourne.
And we're the owners of South Coast Tax. We would like to thank our Lord for protecting us from evil. Psalm 91 states, "He is my refuge and my fortress, for he will rescue us from every trap and protect us from deadly disease."
South Coast Tax are Christian-based tax accountants and attorneys who specialize in releasing bank levies, wage garnishments, and filing complex tax returns. We are the leaders in acceptance of offers and compromise with awesome results.
We are also a small firm who will treat you like family and not just a number.
Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176 for a free consultation, and we'll take the time to explain all of the programs that you qualify for in order to allow you a fresh start.
In John 8:36, so if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. And one way we can achieve that is by being debt-free. So let us help you today. Call us at 1-800-TAX-1176, and together we can help achieve this goal by putting the IRS tax debt behind you for good. Again, that number is 1-800-TAX-1176.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A free solution.
Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wills, your host for the day. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you being here. And we'll read a couple more of your comments. Nicholas says, "Good points, Kevin. I agree." Thank you, sir. Appreciate the positive feedback. Appreciate all the feedback, but also the positive feedback. Will says, "Look where we are in New York State with one-party rule. Cuomo took over, and the legislature is happy." They are. They don't want to be held accountable, because if Cuomo can do everything, then all the blame gets directed to him, and he has enough of a machine where he can just keep getting elected, and then they can just worry about getting elected in their own district. And Valerie says, "Hi, Kevin. I heard you on the Liberty Show this weekend." Oh, good. Yeah, no, our friends from the Liberty Show, we're always happy to have them, and they have a show here on WYSL that it's the first Saturday of the month, and I think they have a bonus episode this week, but I don't remember the date offhand, so sorry, guys. But, yeah. Oh, Saturday night at 7 p.m., I believe. And so, yeah, we had our friends on from the Liberty Show last Friday. We love those guys. And sounds like we have a call on the line, too. John from Rochester. John, what's going on?
Hi, Kevin.
Good to hear from you. What's on your mind, sir?
Well, I just wanted to comment on, the January 6th insurrection, as they call it. I'm surprised it wasn't more violent and more inclusive of that crowd. Not that it would be justified, and Trump, in my opinion, didn't incite it. I listened to his whole speech a couple times. I think we talked about that before, but the fact that look at the history of Trump when he was elected. They started. I think it was 2 hours after he was sworn in. They started calling for impeachment, and they perpetrated that Russian hoax. There was an FBI agent who was I think an attorney for the FBI. He pled guilty to altering one of the documents for the FISA court. He got probation. That's the ironic part about it. The fact that the Obama administration perpetrated the surveillance of the Trump campaign, and after he was in office, and set up guys like Michael Flynn and whatever. The Trump supporters, they're not forgetting that. They're not forgetting that. They're not forgetting the Ukrainian impeachment hoax that occurred. He was innocent of. And, of course, the election fraud. I've actually watched, probably at this point, 25 hours of hearings in the battleground states. There's about 6 battleground states, including Arizona, which never used to be a battleground state, Georgia, and, of course, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, whatever. And I think there's probably 100 hours of this total that's you can get on the Internet. C-SPAN covered it, and a number of other news agencies. And I'll tell you, the evidence is so overwhelming and voluminous. It's unbelievable. And see, that's
I don't think it is.
Well, have you? How many hours have you heard? How many hours did you see or hear of these hearings in these state legislatures? Remember, these are elected officials at the state level in these 6 states. This isn't a conspiracy theory situation. They had so much evidence, including computer analysts, computer experts.
So, John, real quick, because what ends up happening with a lot of these conversations is, it's hard to present that specific evidence over the radio,
the media's going to try to bury it, but there are some active cases in the courts. Most of the cases were, as you know, were thrown out based on standing. There's a number of cases that are alive. And
some standing, some lack of
evidence.
evidence.
The courts will hear the evidence.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of times they weren't presented in a very good way, and there were several courts that held that did review the evidence and found that the accusations didn't have enough merit to move forward.
No, that's very. I think there might have been 2 of those. The fact is, in fact, there's still an active case in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. They needed more time, and it's going to happen. Kevin, how many hours have the testimony in the state legislatures have you heard?
I mean, several. I've seen a lot of stuff. Like, again, what ends up happening with
answer,
this? Listen. I'm not going to answer a specific question about how many hours like a bunch. I've looked into this stuff a lot, and the fact of the matter is that you can go through and debunk each and every one of these things. There's like a decent explanation for what happened here. Again, I can't debunk your specific accusations here because you're just saying there's computer evidence. Here's what it is. I can't refute that right now because I don't know what specific thing you're talking about. But you can go through each one of these and figure out, like, this didn't really happen. President Trump just lost. That's just what happened. There wasn't any significant evidence of voter fraud. And what I think is happening is that the Republican Party is just losing the middle. They're just losing the average person who's not listening to the station, who's not a political junkie, who just wants to, listen to their music, hang out, and make sure they keep their job. Like, if that person ain't listening today, but President Trump seems like he's being a jerk, and I don't believe this.
To yourself to listen to the evidence. I'm going to listen to all the hearings, and there's huge amount of evidence that's out there, in a lot of different respects. The computer aspect of it is only part of it, but it's unbelievable. And I guess my point was, I didn't want to get into a debate with you on this, but on the evidence, but my point was this: the anger that is out there with the Trump supporters, because most of them know all this. I'm surprised there wasn't more violence. I think it was they were very fortunate that 99% of the Trump supporters there at that rally knew better.
Most weren't. And John, listen, I hear you on that, and I understand that a lot of people are angry. A lot of people listening today are angry because they feel that there's a lot of evidence of election fraud. I don't think that happened. But, John, I'm going to have to let you go because I do have another call on. I always appreciate it when you call in. I appreciate your opinion, so thank you so much, John. But I do want to get to this other caller. It sounds like we have Dave from Chile on the line. Dave, real quick, you only have a couple minutes, but...
Yeah, Kevin, I'll make it quick. So what he's talking about, he's right. Some of the stuff I'm talking about, you saw too. You can poo-poo it away. But I'm a Trump voter too, and I'm disenfranchised. That means nobody's listened. So when you just disregard it and say, no, I don't think there's enough voter fraud, there's enough to turn it over. Just to let you know, check into it and check into the where Trump got 0.63% of the vote, and then the machine was tallied on the other side, 1.57%. They should never be a percentage, but the guy found there was a percentage algorithm in there, and it had to be made up, and it was sophisticated. There's another one where this one lady was crazy. Well, I think she was. She says they were grinding ballots. What they were doing was grinding up the envelopes, and that's what I saw. So, yeah, I could poo-poo that. But the rest of the forensic evidence on those machines, they are registered, okay, after 22 votes, let's add one over here. After 130, add one over here. And then they even showed some of them were actually the monitors that were bought and made from China were actually in the machines, and they had what do you call that, the IRF? They were sending message and receiving real time all over these different countries. They pointed out Iran, they pointed out China. I'm just saying there's so much evidence there that you can't, unless these states actually put the machine to the test and actually listen to the people, we're just not gonna sit down. I mean, there's too much. There's a guy that worked in the post office.
Dave, I only got a minute left. I tell you what, guys, whenever you have evidence of this stuff, send something to A Free Solution. Send me a message on Facebook. Also, send a message to the station too. Send it over to me. I'll read it. I mean, if you send me a Parler screenshot of something, like I'm not going to take that super seriously. Not going to lie. But Dave, send me this evidence. I will look into it. I promise I do look into this stuff. I've looked into a lot of it, and a lot of it is, sorry, man, just not true. There's nothing there. There's a reason why places like OAN and Newsmax are now reading statements saying that they have no evidence that these voting machine companies were committing fraud or messing with the votes in any way. There's no evidence of it. All right, but I appreciate your call, though, Dave. I will look into it. Send me some stuff. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. I will be back on Friday. Talk to you then.